Pastor was walking down the street one day and saw a little boy off to his right, and the little boy was jumping up, and he was trying to touch the doorknob or the doorbell to ring the doorbell. And so he's trying to touch the doorbell, and he's jumping up, and he can't quite reach the doorbell. So the pastor, being a kind-hearted man, decided that he would go and help the young boy push the doorbell, thinking he's going to go play with his friends. It appears that he wants to get in to go and play with his friends. He's thinking, why doesn't he knock? I don't know, maybe he's going to surprise his friend with a doorbell ring. So the pastor walks up and pushes the doorbell for the little boy who can't quite reach it and says, "Now what, little man?" And the little boy looked right at the pastor and said, "Run like crazy." It wasn't quite exactly what he thought when he pushed the doorbell. Things aren't always as they appear. And to illustrate that again, I want to show you a couple of pictures up here on the screen that things aren't always as they appear. And in the next one, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. As the man prepares to jump into the water as it appears, or as he's about ready to be rescued by Batman and Robin as it appears. But what you may not know from where you're sitting at and not being able to look up close, these are chalk drawings on flat surfaces. By looking at this angle, you would say, that really is water that he's about ready to jump into. Or over here, he's sitting on a ledge about to be rescued by Batman and Robin. That's what it appears. And in the next one, I want to show you exactly another picture of how something appears, but when in reality, looking from a different perspective, how it really is. Man standing on top of the world. When you get to a different perspective, you can see that isn't exactly what it appeared to be. But in reality, from a different perspective, you can see that it wasn't exactly a three-dimensional drawing at all. It is a flat surface chalked out over a great distance. Things aren't always as they appear. And when we come to the text today in Joshua chapter 22, there is a great illustration of this right here. That things aren't always as they appear. And when something appears to be a certain way and you make a decision based upon that, you can see that problems Have you ever been here before? Have you ever been deceived by appearances? Don't raise your hand, don't shake your head, yeah. Have you ever been deceived? I just broke my own rule. I have. I've been deceived by appearances before. You look at something and it appears to be something, and so you make a decision based on what you see without having all the information. And then you find out, after you've found out what the true facts are, you look rather foolish, don't you? You ever been there before? You ever have to swallow something down, choke it back, something that you said because we made a decision based on what something appeared to be, when in reality it wasn't that at all? We call it jumping to conclusions. We're pretty good at jumping as human beings. That's what happens in the text today. But what I'm so thankful for in this text today in Joshua chapter 22 is this. They handled the situation correctly. So by what we can learn from them, we can see in situations in our life when we are tempted to make a decision based solely on appearances and circumstantial evidence, we can see exactly how we're supposed to handle that so we don't get in ourselves in trouble and have to then say, I'm sorry for what I said. I really acted quite foolish. So we can avoid that. This text is given to us today. It's great. When we come to chapter 22, the fighting is done. We already saw that. The land has been divided to all the inheritance. They've gotten all the plots of land that God had given to them. The Levites are dispersed out in chapter 21. They're given cities to live in. They have no inheritance. The Lord is their inheritance. They're spread out through all of the land as a representation that God is all over the land of Israel. And you remember when we started this whole journey at the beginning of Joshua, we had these 2.5 tribes that lived on the east side of the Jordan River. That's where their inheritance was. And Moses says, that's good and that's fine, but one thing you need to know, this is directed by God, you 2.5 tribes, you need to help your brothers out and cross over the Jordan River with them, fight the battles with them. When all the battles are finished, then you can go back to your homeland. You can go back to your inheritance. So the 2.5 tribes said, right on, we'll do that. That's what we're going to do. We're off, we're going. They did. They did exactly what they're saying. We know at least 7 years have taken place up to this point, and they fought battles right along with the other 10 western tribes. Now the battles are basically done. There are still some people groups that need to be conquered, but basically the battles are over on a grand scale in the land. There's some small regional skirmishes, but that's nothing important. So the 2.5 tribes have now completed exactly what they said they would do. We'll help you get the inheritance. We'll fight alongside with you, but now it's time for us to go back home. That's where we find ourselves right here in chapter 22. It's time for them to return back home. After fulfilling their obligations to the other 10 tribes, they're going to return to the land that God had given to them on the east side of the Jordan. So they depart going back home to the east side of the Jordan, back to their land, back to their family, back to their cattle to start their lives. And then this instance takes place right here in Joshua chapter 22. We're going to pick up in verse number 10. At the beginning of the chapter 22, the eastern tribes are leaving to go back home. Now in verse number 10, we see the situation that happens right here. There is an appearance of rebellion that takes place here. An appearance of rebellion in verses 10 through 12. Let me read them to you. And when they came to the region of the Jordan, that is in the land of Canaan, the people of Reuben and the people of Gad and half the tribe of Manasseh, the 2.5 tribes, built there an altar by the Jordan, an altar of imposing size. So this is a large altar that's visible from all directions. And the people of Israel heard it said, behold, the people of Reuben and the people of Gad and half the tribe of Manasseh have built the altar at the frontier of the land of Canaan in the region about the Jordan on the side that belongs to the people of Israel. So it appears to be on the western side of the Jordan River. And when the people of Israel heard of it, the whole assembly of the people of Israel gathered at Shiloh to make war against them. So I don't know how they found out that they had built this altar. We're not told in the text. It just says they heard of it. Whether maybe someone from the 10 tribes saw it and went back and reported, or some foreigner traveling through saw this altar and reported it. However they heard of it secondhand probably. And so now they hear that this altar has been erected and they say, wait a second, this is not right. And they get together and they say, it's time to go to war. We've got to fight against our brothers. See, to build a second sacrificial altar was absolutely forbidden in the law of Moses. There was one altar that was given, a common altar for all of the nation. And to set up an altar somewhere else and to offer sacrifices on that altar was saying that we have broken with the rest of the nation. We are our own little group. A disunity would happen from that. So one common altar was given for the whole nation to show their unity and their oneness. And now they're thinking, hey, they've built another sacrificial altar. This isn't right. This is directly forbidden by God. They're so angry about it. Not only that, we'll read of exactly what they're concerned about, but they're so angry they're going to go to war about it. Shouldn't build another altar. What are you guys doing? What's happening here? The altar at this time resided in the tabernacle that was pitched at Shiloh at this point, this common altar. It signified the unity of the nation. That was the problem in the Old Testament of the nation of Israel. They started building altars all over the place. People thought individually, I can worship God however I want to. And God says, no, there's one common altar where we all come together, showing the unity of the nation. These 10 western tribes were concerned. They were actually alarmed at the possibility. Now there's a schism in the land. There's a division in the land. The nation's divided. What's going on? This isn't good. So they prepare for war. Verse number 12. Now I like what they do here though. They don't rush right in with swords drawn and start killing people. Let me show you what they do. Verses 13 through 29. It's a little lengthy passage of scripture, I understand. We'll read through it and then we'll talk about it. I want you to see the reaction now of the 10 western tribes. They're prepared for war, but they don't pull out their swords and start fighting right away. They do something here, and it's a great lesson for us. 13 through 29. Then the people of Israel sent to the people of Reuben and the people of Gad and half the tribe of Manasseh in the land of Gilead, Phinehas the son of Eleazar the priest, and with him 10 chiefs, one from each of the tribal families of Israel, every one of them the head of a family among the clans of Israel. And they came to the people of Reuben, the people of Gad, and half the tribe of Manasseh in the land of Gilead, and they said to them, thus says the whole congregation of the Lord, what is this breach of faith that you have committed against the God of Israel in turning away this day from following the Lord by building yourselves an altar this day in rebellion against the Lord? Have we not had enough of the sin of Peor, from which even yet we have not cleansed ourselves, and for which there came a plague upon the congregation of Israel, that you too must turn away this day from following the Lord? And if you too rebel against the Lord today, then tomorrow he will be angry with the whole congregation of Israel. But now, if the land of your possession is unclean, pass over into the Lord's land where the Lord's tabernacle stands, and take for yourselves a possession among us. Only do not rebel against the Lord or make us as rebels by building for yourselves an altar other than the altar of the Lord our God. Did not Achan the son of Zerah break from faith in the matter of the devoted things, and wrath fell upon all the congregation of Israel? And he did not perish alone for his iniquity. Then the people of Reuben, the people of Gad, and half the tribe of Manasseh said in answer to the heads of the family of Israel, the mighty one, God the Lord, the mighty one, God the Lord, he knows. And let Israel itself know. If it was in rebellion or in breach of faith against the Lord, do not spare us today for building an altar to turn away from following the Lord. Or if we did so to burnt offerings or grain offerings or peace offerings on it, may the Lord himself take vengeance. No, but we did it from fear that in time to come your children might say to our children, what have you to do with the Lord, the God of Israel? For the Lord has made the Jordan a boundary between us and you people of Reuben and people of Gad. You have no portion in the Lord, so your children might make our children cease to worship the Lord. Therefore we said, let us now build an altar, not for burnt offerings, nor for sacrifice, but to be a witness between us and you, and between our generations after us, that we do perform the service of the Lord in his presence with our burnt offerings and sacrifice and peace offerings. So your children will not say to our children in time to come, you have no portion in the Lord. And we thought, if this should be said to us or to our descendants in time to come, we should say, behold, the altar of the Lord, which our fathers made, not for burnt offerings, nor for sacrifice, but to be a witness between us and you. Far be it from us that we should rebel against the Lord and turn away this day from following the Lord by building an altar for burnt offering, grain offering, or sacrifice, other than the altar of the Lord our God that stands before his tabernacle. So they have this appearance that we saw right up front. They appeared to have a breach of faith. They appeared to be in rebellion against God. They appeared to be causing disunity in the nation. But no, they say, wait a second, it's a misunderstanding. It's simply a misunderstanding. And I really love what they do right here. Instead of drawing the swords and start killing, what do? They send messengers to ask questions. They say, hey, listen, is this really what you intended? We really want to know. We don't want to just kill you right out. You're our brothers. Can you please tell us what's going on in your heart? What's happening in your mind? Seems to be a misunderstanding. Please help us to understand what's going on here. So they conduct this investigation. They send a guy named Phinehas who was very, very zealous for the Lord. You can read about that in Numbers 25, where he the sexual immorality and the idolatry of the people, he's there fighting for God's cause. The Israelites had not yet got rid of that problem of idolatry. They still wrestled with it for a long time after that. But the fear that they had was that the second unauthorized altar reminded them back to the sin that Achan did. Remember when he took his hand of the devoted thing? And after he took the devoted thing, he hid it in his tent. And then what happened? They went to the next battle and 36 people get killed in the battle. So we learned that lesson that one individual sin affects the whole nation. So they're thinking back to this. If you guys set up an altar that's in rebellion against God, what's going to happen to us? Remember, we're one nation. What's going to happen to us? So they're concerned about this, the unity being divided. They were very serious. So serious, we see that they use 3 names of God in one phrase. They say the mighty one, God, the Lord. El, Elohim, Yahweh. And then they repeat it twice for the emphasis. They are serious about this. They're saying, wait a second, there's a complete misunderstanding. That's not at all what was in our hearts. That's not what we wanted. Please don't say that we have a broken faith. Don't say that we have rebelled against God. Don't say that we want a disunified nation. We want unity in the nation. That's not what our heart's intent was. So they invoked the name, 3 names of God twice. Basically what they're saying is, listen, there's going to come a time where the people who are on the eastern side of the Jordan are looked at by the people on the western side of the Jordan as not belonging to God. And we wanted this witness put right here to remind everyone, this is one nation. Yes, there's a division by the Jordan River, but we are one nation, divided by this land thing or this waterway of Jordan. We are still one. So they put it there simply as a witness to show their children, as a legacy, that the nation wasn't divided even by the Jordan River. They were still one. This witness altar, it was like the common altar. It looked just like it, but they said, we're not going to offer sacrifices on it. It's simply a copy. It was to remind the nation on the eastern side and the nation on the western side, this is one nation. We're not divided. We have one common altar, and this one that's a copy is simply a witness to that common altar that we have, the oneness that we have. The great thing that they teach us here, the 10 Western tribes, is this. Before you declare war on your brother, find out what's really going on. Did you catch that? Before you look into someone's life and you see something happen and you make an assumption based on appearances, find out what's really going on before you go to war with that person. Whether it's in your family, your work, or in the church. They teach us a great lesson. They said, hey, we really want to know what's happening here. We want to give you the benefit of the doubt. We want to trust you. We want grace and love to abound. We don't want to kill you. Another great thing they teach us in this text is this. We cannot judge a person's motive by appearances. We've done that before. It's a bent that's in us to do that. And we see something, we make a rash judgment upon it, and the judgment is made, a decision is made, and then we say to ourselves, don't confuse me with the facts my mind has already made up. Did you catch that? Because we saw something, we made a decision based on what we saw, but it wasn't at all true because we never took the time to go and ask the person, hey, what's really happening here? We can't judge a person's motive simply by appearances. In 1884, there was a tragic death of a young man, and his parents wanted to make a memorial for him. So they went to Charles Eliot, who was then the president of Harvard University. They came into his office, and Charles Eliot said to him, yeah, what can I do for you? And they sat down, and they were just in plain clothes, just plain average people like you and I. And they said, we just lost our son, and we thought, we really wanted to have a memorial for him here on campus somewhere. So the president, Mr. Eliot, said, sure, what you want to set up a scholarship or something like that? And the mother says, no, we're thinking more along the lines of a building, dedicating a building to our son. So almost in a condescending, patronizing tone, Eliot said, yeah, that's way too expensive. You couldn't afford something like that. So the plainclothes people, parents got up and walked out. And about a year later, Charles Eliot was reading in the newspaper, and he read this. This plain pair, who he assumed had no money to do anything, had just set up and established a $26 million memorial fund named Leland Stanford Junior University. We know it as Stanford University today. Because he made an assumption based on appearances, their university lost out. We do the same thing. We do the exact same thing. We see something, we jump to conclusions about it, we make a decision about it, and then we have to eat crow afterwards because we find out that wasn't all true. My friend Keith has been a missionary in Germany for about 25 years. About 10 years ago, he and one of his elders really felt led by the Lord that they were going to go into bars and evangelize people. They thought to themselves, in bars, people are lonely. They're looking to someone to talk to. They're going in there to drink their sorrows away. Let's go in there and share the Lord with them. So their intention was to go in and witness to people inside the bar. They're not going in to slam back drinks. They're not going in to do all the things that are immoral and to happen inside of a bar. That's not what they're going about. They want to witness to the people in the bar. So they go into the bar and witness. Now, what would you and I think of a missionary and one of the elders of a church that you see walking into a bar? What would we think? That's the bent in us. We jump to conclusions without all of the facts. We look to something that appears to be a certain way, and without digging deeper into it or going to talk to the person and say, hey, what's going on here? We make an assumption. See, it's important that we get all the facts. And remember, there's always two sides to every dispute. We have to make sure we know all the information as much as possible before we jump to any kind of conclusion. I love the 10 Western tribes. They gave them the benefit of the doubt. They had grace and love. They said, please explain to us what's going on. We want to know. I like Jesus. He gives us a great illustration in Matthew about what we're supposed to do when this sort of thing happens, when a dispute between two parties are going on. What are we supposed to do? He says simply go to the person. Go and talk to them. Make sure that it is exactly what you think it is. Get all of the information. Go talk to them. So after going to them and finding out that was not their intention, the misunderstanding is now put aside. We see here in the last few verses that the unity of the nation is preserved, verses 30 through 34. When Phinehas the priest and the chief of the congregation and the heads of the families of Israel who were with him heard the words that the people of Reuben and the people of Gad and the people of Manasseh spoke, it was good in their eyes. And Phinehas the son of Eleazar the priest and said to the people of Reuben, to the people of Gad and the people of Manasseh, today we know that the people of Manasseh, today we know that the Lord is in our midst because you have not committed this breach of faith against the Lord. Now you have delivered the people of Israel from the hand of the Lord. Then Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the priest, and the chiefs returned from the people of Reuben and the people of Gad and the land of Gilead to the land of Canaan, to the people of Israel, and brought back word to them. And the report was good in the eyes of the people of Israel. Say, hurrah! I added that in, that's not really in the text. They were excited. And the people of Israel blessed God and spoke no more of making war against them to destroy the land where the people of Reuben and the people of Gad were settled. The people of Reuben and the people of Gad called the altar witness. For they said, it is a witness between us that the Lord is God. So the unity is now preserved. Why? Because they took an opportunity to go and directly talk to them and find out, what was your intent? What did you really mean? It appears that there's rebellion here. It appears it's a breach of faith. It appears you're trying to call it disunity. But tell us what's happening. And they said, no, far be it from us. We love the Lord. We want one united nation. No, that's not our intent. It was simply a witness, a legacy to our children. So now the unity of the nation is preserved. I like Phinehas. He has a great attitude here. I put the hoorah in there. I mean, you probably could have heard that from him. Here was a guy that says, great, I don't have to fight my brothers. Brotherly love now wins out. And I'm sure Phinehas was going, yes. I remember Psalm 133. He's thinking, yes. I'm thinking of the songs of ascent as they're going up to the temple to worship. And we read this, oh, how pleasant and good it is when brothers dwell in unity. Or we think about the Hebrews 13:1 in the New Testament, let brotherly love continue. Phinehas is going, yes, I love my brothers. I don't want to kill them. I'm so glad it worked out like this. Or Romans 12:10, love one another with brotherly affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Phinehas is going, yeah, right. This is great. You see, when we go to our brother to discuss the apparent misunderstanding or the apparent dispute, often, I'm going to emphasize that, often this will clear up any misunderstanding. Not always, but often it does. If we simply take the time and go and ask them, hey, what did you really mean here? What was your intent? Often that will clear up all misunderstandings. Often. That can lead then to reconciliation, the spirit of gentleness. Two parties then being reconciled back together, just like the nation. Now, what happens, though, when you get to an issue that's what we call Christian liberty, and you have an opinion and someone else has an opinion, something that's not forbidden in the Scripture or commanded in the Scripture? Let me give you an example. The length of hair on men. Should I wear my hair to the top of my ear, to the middle of my ear, to below my ear? Now, we know Paul tells us that men should not have hair like women. We understand that. But we're talking about, should I wear it up here? Or should I shave all my hair off and have a Glatze in German, or a bald head? I don't think the Bible talks about that, does it? You may have a strong opinion about men with bald heads. These men are certainly this way. That's your opinion. So what do we do when we get to the area of Christian liberty where it could go either way? I mean, either one of them is right. Either one of them is correct. Well, when it comes to the area of Christian liberty and it's not causing a brother to lose faith, in other words, I don't think you're going to lose faith if I shave all my hair off. I hope you don't, at least. If I was to go bald, I hope that would not destroy your faith. But Paul talks about that. If you're going to cause a stumbling block, put aside your liberty. Don't let someone lose faith. But when it's an area of Christian liberty and it's not causing a brother to lose faith, you may have to agree to disagree. Two opinions, both valid. You agree to disagree. That's where this verse that we learned today comes in. One person esteems one day better than another. You say, I like March 2nd. March 2nd is my day. On March 2nd, I always go out for lunch on March 2nd. March 2nd is my special day. And I say, I hate March 2nd. We're both right. You esteem one day better than another, and I say, but all days are alike. Each should be fully convinced in his own mind. When it comes to area of Christian liberty, we have to give grace, and we have difference of opinion. That's okay. Unity still is there, even though we have differences of opinion. Each one must be fully convinced in his own mind. Now, what happens if you're part of the 2.5 tribes, the ones who were accused of doing wrong, the ones who were misunderstood? You saw how they reacted. What if you're on that end? What if you're the one that's misunderstood? What if you're the one that's being accused of something that's wrong when really it's not at all? It's just a misunderstanding. How are we supposed to react in something like that? I love what they did. Do you notice they didn't say, "How dare you claim that we would build a second altar? How dare you claim we want to divide the nation? How dare you say that about us?" That's not what they did they? They said, "Oh, no way. We wouldn't do that. Far be it from us that we would make a second altar to sacrifice on. God, kill us if that was our intent. That was not our intent. We didn't want to do that." In other words, they took Solomon's advice. A soft answer turns away wrath. But a harsh word, he says, stirs up anger. So if you're on that side that's being accused of something that you have not done, you're being misunderstood, remember, a soft answer turns away wrath. It's exactly what the 2.5 tribes did. They had that humility about them, saying, "No, that wasn't my intent. Please don't even think that of me." Soft answer will turn away wrath. We have a situation where we find ourselves at times jumping to conclusions. We've all done it. We've all done it, every one of us. Based on information that we did not have. And we've been guilty of judging another one's motives based simply on appearances. What a great lesson for us right here today. What a great lesson. Great lesson is, listen, just go talk to the person and find out if that's really what they intended. Appearances can be deceiving. And once you find out that's not really what they intended, then rejoice and the unity has been kept. And if you're the one that's been accused of something, hey, with humility say, "That's not my intent." Not in defensiveness, lashing back out, but in humility. Soft answer turns away wrath. But a harsh word will stir up anger.